Yeah, in health news, we're seeing rises in cases in 39 states. Cases have doubled since April, but also deaths have decreased by about 80%. This could portend a number of things, including more deaths, which follow infection spikes, but it's also possible that better and more testing paired with earlier diagnoses are helping with better treatment and recovery outcomes. So the results remain to be seen. Vice President Pence, along with the Surgeon General, urged people this weekend, or excuse me, last week, to wear face masks. In other news, the American Academy of Pediatrics has also called for the reopening of schools this fall, citing mounting evidence that child transmission and contraction is rare. There's also important conversations to be had here around teachers and students with health issues. We're also closely following issues related to homelessness and the spread of COVID-19. On the next slide, in economic news, nearly 18 to 21 million people remain unemployed, although 4.8 million jobs were added in June, according to the most recent jobs report from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. The eviction moratoria is ending nationally and sooner in Pennsylvania, and I'll report a little bit more about that in a coming slide. PPP briefly ended, although Senate Republicans as well as the president ultimately moved forward with 130 billion in, with extending this program, which still has 130 billion remaining. The administration also has provided fairly uneven information as it relates to what might be in the coming relief packages. President Trump stated in late June that he expects a generous relief package to come forward. Although relief checks are still on the table, as well as federal unemployment extension, it's not entirely clear whether or not that's actually going to move forward. And in the final two exhibits here, we see the disproportionate negative impact of unemployment on people of color and people with less than a bachelor's degree. That's why I'm so happy that both Sabrina and Betty are here and were able to talk to us about workforce development, racial justice, and economic inclusion. Going to the next slide on Pennsylvania, in health news, though cases have not exponentially increased here as they have in other states that reopened, the progress toward mitigating these new cases has fallen off, as we see here in the exhibits in the center. In economic news, Pennsylvania is utilizing the CARES Act funding in a few ways. Eviction moratoriums in Pennsylvania are ending this month, but rent and mortgage relief are available now. For rent, renters and landlords can jointly file with the PA Housing Finance Agency for up to $4,500 per lessee. There's also revenue offsets available for Pennsylvania small businesses. As mentioned before in previous updates and calls, the latter money draws from around $225 million received by Pennsylvania for the CARES Act. In Allegheny County, though cases have fallen in the past 3 days, there have been a staggering 1,000 plus cases since the last week when Hannah reported the numbers. So most of these cases we found have been traced back to South Oakland and Southside bars and restaurants. So just continue to stay vigilant regarding these matters. And then finally, just some closing thoughts. There's been a lot more scholarship done, and it continues to be done around the new work from home model. And it seems less likely that there's going to be a traditional return to the 9 to 5, 5-day work week. According to a new survey by the Morning Consult, the majority of those majority of those who are working remote say that once it's safe to return, they would still like to work from home between 1 and 4 days per week. And we can see in the exhibit below this information broken down by gender. In US politics, the Senate establishment Democrats are feeling pretty optimistic after their favorite candidates were selected in 5 states. Some of the results came back a little bit slower because of mail-in balloting. But with a tough election in Alabama for Democrat Doug Jones, Democrats I've spoken with have mentioned that the Senate majority is within reach, but it will require a net swing of 4 seats. So the potential for a 50-50 Senate is also possible, which makes the presidency and vice presidency, the vice president who presides over the Senate and breaks ties, even more important. And then finally, the Hyde Amendment, which disallows government funding for abortions, will be left in for this year's upcoming appropriations bill. But we'll continue to follow that matter closely as well. With that, I'll return the balance of my time to the floor. Thanks.